Hello, hello. Welcome on back. Thanks so much for being here. If you have been listening to my podcast and you've been enjoying yourself, please leave me a review wherever you are listening from. Don't forget, pause it right now. Go leave me a review. It would really help me out. I'm a wee baby podcaster and I don't think I have any reviews yet. So that would be lovely. And if this is your first episode, thank you. Welcome. And if you do enjoy this episode, please again go and leave me a review. All right, I am done talking about that. Cringe. Let's go on to today's episode where we are talking about how to become what they call an ingredient household without becoming an almond mom. So, first things first, what the hell is an ingredient home and what the hell is an almond mom? Apparently, there are ingredient households and snack households. I didn't know this difference until I realized when I went over to friends' houses, their pantries looked a lot different than mine. They had Oreos, chips, Gatorades, like single individual packages of a ton of like ready-made kid snacks, fruit snacks, all of that stuff. My mother did not buy Chips Ahoy, fruit snacks, bags of chips very often. I don't remember when we were really young having any of those type of foods until maybe a little bit when I was in high school. She'd occasionally go to like the Hostess store that was right down the street and buy like ding dongs and things like that we could have for treats. So every once in a while we would get things, but it was mostly like everything was in our freezer or like you had to cook it, or maybe we had like mac and cheese and sandwiches and things like that you can make pretty easily. But I remember going to friends' houses and being like, what the hell? You have so much stuff in your pantry that is just like bright and colorful and beautiful, and I want all of it. But I didn't realize that most 14-year-olds, maybe not most, I don't know the percentages of who has an ingredient home versus a snack home, but I started baking chocolate chip cookies pretty early on because if you wanted cookies, you had to make them. So I spent my high school making like chocolate chip cookies or cakes or whatever it was. We didn't have ready-made stuff a lot of times. And I have carried that over into my adult life, but I also think that I did spend a period of time where I was like, oh my God, I can buy bagel bites that I've never had before and Hot Pockets that my mother never bought us before. And I can have chips and I can buy the sweet kind of cereal because I'm sick and tired of just Cheerios and Wheat Thins or not Wheat Thins, that's a cracker. What is it? Frosted Mini Wheats. That was like the sweetest things that we had in our house a lot of times. So and I don't want to say that like my mom restricted those foods because we also, again, like she didn't, we were able to have cake and things like that. She would buy like Costco size, containers of Tootsie Roll Pops, like lollipops and things like that. So like, again, we did have occasionally things like that, but it was by and large, you have to cook your own chicken breast kind of house. And not to compare apples and oranges, but like I remember distinctly going to people's friends and being like, I could drown in snacks here. What the fuck? So regardless of how you grew up, I think that you have a choice as an adult, hopefully listening to this podcast. Maybe I have people that are not adults yet, but I'm assuming everyone here is an adult, that I have 10 things for you to help create more of an ingredient home. But caveat, without being an almond mom, without being the type of person who, when you do want a snack, all you have is a handful of almonds or all you have is a handful of chocolate chips. Like, it's okay to have some barbecue potato chips in the pantry to go along with the sandwich. It's okay to have cookies and cake and things like that. I personally, because I love baking, I love making those things. And part of me, it is a little bit of this way that I limit myself too, because it's not easily accessible. If I want chocolate chip cookies, I've got to spend an hour to make them, or I've got to spend, 10 minutes making the dough, and then I have chocolate chip cookie dough for the week, or whatever you are going to do, rather than just buying the Nestle? How do I say that? I don't know. Nestle chocolate chips, the frozen dough or whatever that you can just pop in the oven. So nothing wrong with that, especially if you have, I don't know, disability issues or things like that, that's the only type of cookie you can have. Fucking fine. There is no demonization here, which we're going to talk about. it's not a matter of your homemade bread versus store-bought bread and like all the bad things in the store-bought bread. No, it's about being able to make your own bread. It's a skill that you should have. And being able to, again, you don't have to drive to the store when you're out of bread. You don't have to put another $10 to the grocery store because you have flour and sugar and yeast that, you have in larger quantities and you can make freaking 50 loaves of bread with. So also, have you ever just walked into your house or like been doing something and there's something in the oven and you like start to smell it, right? You're like, oh, that smells so good. Imagine your house just smells like bread or cake or freaking a fresh baked chicken pot pie. There is a special place for this like homemade, labor of love and skill-based cooking and learning how to prep your own food, things like that, which we're going to talk about. That's where I am aiming this at. I want you to become an ingredient home because it's a skill and it's good to be prepared so that, if the stores shut down again for some godforsaken reason, you have the ability to make a lot of stuff at home already before you run out of food, right? So I'm going to go through 10 things that you can start doing that are not going to overwhelm you, I don't think, to become more of an ingredient household for all the proper reasons without becoming an almond mom. And I'm going to give you 10 more things of what not to do to become an almond mom or how to avoid becoming an almond mom. So, and whether you're a mom or not, that's just the term for, again, like store-bought, everything is bad, everything has to be organic, everything has to be from scratch. If you want a snack, you get 3 almonds. Like that's kind of the trope, right? So without further ado, let's get into 10 things you can begin to do to become more of an ingredient home. Number 1 is I want you to learn how to grocery shop a balance of whole foods and convenience foods. And I'm going to be mentioning a couple of more convenience foods throughout these 10 things, but just to pause here, I want you to, yes, quote unquote, shop the perimeter where you're buying the bulk of your groceries are protein and vegetables and fruit and potatoes and starches, by the way, like rice and things like that are whole foods. Buying most of that, yes, but also having some convenience foods, having some things in the freezer, like frozen produce or frozen proteins, having things that you can just grab and go, especially if you're somebody who like enjoys hitting the snooze alarm in the morning and then you're like, I should have cooked breakfast, but instead I'm going to go through the drive-thru because I didn't plan this out, or I'm just going to starve myself to lunch because I didn't get to eat anything. Okay, buy some pre-made protein shakes. You're going to tell yourself, let's make a protein shake in the morning, pull out your blender, pull out all the chia seeds and this, that, and the other. Okay, but sometimes you're just going to have to get out the door and grab something to go. If it helps to have, I don't know, whatever it may be, something that's ready-made throughout the week so that you are actually eating, you're getting your protein, you're not stressing yourself out even more. You want to have what I call emergency dinners. So convenience foods. I have dried mashed potatoes like the Idahoan, I can't even say that, potatoes that just come in like the baggie and all you do is like pour some boiling water over them, maybe mix some milk or butter in, and there you go, potatoes. They're just dehydrated potatoes, y'all. It's not like some weird voodoo food, okay? It's just dehydrated potato flakes that you rehydrate. So I have those, but I also do buy real potatoes, whole potatoes, but sometimes you just need some mashers and you don't want to chop the potatoes, do this, do that, or you don't have fresh potatoes. So the good thing about these powdered potatoes is they stay in your pantry and they're not going to go bad. So when you're out of potatoes, when you're out of starches, when you're fucking starving and the whole world shuts down, you have your flaked dehydrated potatoes, if nothing else. So I want you to learn how to shop a balance of whole foods, becoming an ingredient home, while still allowing your favorite convenience foods, while still taking into consideration some of those snack foods. You're allowed occasionally to buy the bagel bites, but also learn how to make your own pizza at home, right? So you can have that balance. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So that's number 1. Number 2, they kind of build on each other here. We're going to actually prep and cook those foods into meals. How many of us buy so much produce and fruits and protein and then we just like let it go to waste because we'd rather order takeout or DoorDash, or we'd rather just have another bowl of cereal for breakfast and we're just going to have like some cheese for dinner. No, I want you to actually cook your frickin' meals. Now, prepping might look different for you than it does for somebody else. I am not somebody that says, well, every Sunday you've got to spend 8 hours cooking your food. No. If that doesn't work for you, don't frickin' do that. But some people, it does. Sometimes you're in a stage in your life where you do have one day to prep 5, 10, 15 meals for the week, okay? Do that if you have the ability. Others might do better about, okay, I have the same thing kind of planned or prepped for breakfast and lunches, and then for dinner, I actually like being in the kitchen to cook something. That's fine. Or a balance of the two. I love to have a couple meals prepped, so I have 3 or 4 full meals that I could just pop in the microwave throughout the week. But there's still many other meals that I need throughout the week. Lunch is not enough. So some dinners are convenience dinners. Some dinners I do cook from scratch at home beginning to end. And others, I might prep some of the chicken or the veggies or something like separately the night before or the morning of. And then that night, all I have to do is kind of like reheat some things and throw it all together. So there's many ways to actually prep and cook those meals, but you've got to do it. You've got to learn. You've got to start somewhere. And if you're someone that like, but I don't know how to cook, no one just starts learning. Like, no one just starts knowing how to cook. You have to learn and you have to practice and you have to let yourself fuck up a few hundred times even. So if you've burned things, if you've undercooked things, if you've let your chicken pot pie fall apart one too many times, that's okay. You could just say, fuck chicken pot pie from now on, or you can say, damn it, I'm gonna conquer this and make the best chicken pot pie that anyone's ever had. You do you, boo. Choose your hard. Choose what you want to be doing and how to prep and cook those meals according to what works for you. But it is a skill, whether you are a man, woman, or child, you have a mouth to feed, whether your own or multiple other mouths if you are responsible for others. And if you don't know how to do the basics, then you are setting us up for failure. In multiple generations go by, we're like, all of a sudden, none of us know how to prep our food and cook our food. And then we are overly reliant on these ready-made foods, fast food, DoorDash, takeout, all of those things, because nobody actually knows how to cook anymore. And that's terrifying to think about. It's already happening. So to go along with cooking your meals, number 3, the ingredients of being an ingredient household. We want spices, flour, sugars, different baking ingredients like cornstarch, baking powder, cornmeal, baking soda. You can have, again, lots of spices. That's how you make food taste good, whether it's vegetables or protein, pastas, all of the things, right? If you are not seasoning your stuff, it's gonna taste like shite. And if you are somebody who's watching your sodium, maybe because you have high blood pressure, you have a heart issue, I don't want you to do 0 sodium. Usually these people are eating out a lot, so their intake is really high. And they have this predisposition or this already chronic condition of this blood pressure, heart issue. And sodium is only one aspect of that, right? It's only one factor. And I've had people drop their sodium to 0 because they think they're not, like, sodium's so bad, salt's so bad. You need to be, especially if you're cooking at home, salting your food, okay? You can still manage it, of course, watch it, be conscious of it, but you still need sodium for every single cell in your body. There is something called the sodium-potassium pump, and sodium and potassium work together based on different chemical interactions in your body to, let's just simplify it to say, direct things in and out of the cell. So the pump is literally letting certain things in, letting certain things out. It's managing the balance of sodium in our body, and water doesn't actually have a mechanism in our body to move around except through concentration gradients of sodium. So if there's more salt outside of the cell, water is going to move outside of the cell in order to create homeostasis, in order to balance out the sodium levels. Or if there's less sodium outside of the cell and more sodium inside our cells, water will flow into our cells, which both of these in their extreme is bad. So if water's flowing out of your cells are literally shrinking, getting like shriveled up like a little prune or a raisin. And when that happens, you are changing the shape of your cells. You're changing the amount of room in your cell, and it's literally like choking to death. Or if water is flowing into your cells, if you are overhydrated and your sodium levels are not adequate, you're low in electrolytes, that overhydration is a problem, especially with things like 75 hard or other things where they're like, drink a gallon of water a day. If you're peeing every fucking hour, that's too often. You are dehydrating yourself because you are losing a lot of electrolytes and you're not giving your kidneys enough time to filter your blood. That's what your kidneys do. They filter your blood and they need a certain amount of time to do that. So when you're peeing every 30 minutes, every 60 minutes, you don't have enough time to filter your blood. Okay. And then your sodium and electrolytes, magnesium, potassium, all of those things drop. And then you're going to have the same type of symptoms that dehydration has when you just don't get enough water. And when your cells are expanding and they're swelling up because you don't have enough sodium outside the cell, water flows inside the cell. Did I just say that backwards? I might have said that backwards. So when water flows inside the cell, you have a swelling of the cell. So now again, you're changing the shape of the cell, which is a problem. You're making it bigger, more room in between, and it's about to burst because the membrane is not supposed to be that big. So these are things to keep in mind when you're looking at things like seasonings and salt and all of that stuff. You want to balance it out, of course. So when you're cooking at home, especially if you've dropped your takeout intake, if you're like, I'm not eating fast food anymore, and then you start cooking at home and you're not salting your food, and you're drinking a gallon of water a day because you're trying to like do things for your health, you are setting yourself up for failure, okay? There is a balance here and you want to balance it. So that's my side tangent. Let's get back to number 3, the ingredients. You want a good full spice pantry. Use it. Garlic powder, paprika, Italian seasoning, tarragon, chili powder, cumin. Get the things. And this is going to take a while to accumulate all of the things. When you're trying new recipes, when you're like, oh, what can I add to asparagus to make it more edible? You can look up these things or just experiment. Find a few seasonings that you really love. I add, I'm pretty sure, garlic and onion powder and paprika to like everything. I add oregano, rosemary, and thyme to a lot of shit. So like you get these staples and you just use them over and over and over again and your stuff tastes delectable. If you want to learn how to cook a full chicken and make it taste good, you've got to butter it and add some seasonings. All right. So that's number 3. I could go on and on about all the things that you should have. I have all-purpose flour, white sugar, brown sugar. I have cocoa powder. I have panko breadcrumbs. I have cornstarch. I have, it's all of these things that you can build things up. I have instant yeast or active yeast. I have a jar of that. I have powdered buttermilk, so I don't have to worry about, oh, I want to make like buttermilk pancakes, but I don't have any buttermilk. Okay, one, you can always add like vinegar to milk. That's an easy way to make it like a sour milk. Or you can just have powdered buttermilk and it lasts forever. You don't have to like buy this big half-gallon thing of buttermilk and then only use like a half a cup of it and never touch it again. All right? So there's things that you will learn along the way. Number 4, long-term pantry staples. I kind of talked about this a little bit with having like the mashed potatoes in flaked dehydrated form. You want things that are going to last in your pantry that you don't have to necessarily go and get all the time. So I also loved canned food. I have things of tomato paste, tomato sauce, and canned diced tomatoes because do you know how many things that you can just make tomato based? Like you can make so many sauces, pizza, pasta, sauces, all of that stuff with this stuff. And tomato paste, I literally add it to so many things. So if you don't have cans of tomato paste, tomato sauce, I even will have, what's it called? Like chicken broth. What else is over there? Evaporated milk, I think, or like condensed sweet milk, sweetened condensed milk. I said that backwards. Things like that, again, aren't going to go bad. I don't have to worry about like, oh shit, I, need to go get tomatoes. Like, no, I have canned diced tomatoes that I can put in my food processor, that I can roast, that I can add to sauces. Like you can do so many things and it doesn't necessarily require you have fresh tomatoes, right? So there are so many areas in the US, or again, situations where fresh tomatoes are not easily viable, or you just don't freaking feel like washing and blanching and peeling and then chopping them up, and you know what I mean? Just buy some canned tomatoes. So long-term pantry staples like noodles and rice, different grains like couscous, things like that, you want to have them because I can always build a meal, okay? All I really have to buy is some fresh produce and protein, and I have full meals. I have rice, I have cornmeal, I have all of these quote unquote pantry staples and things like flour, spices, sugar that I can just come up with shit. All right. Or Google stuff. You don't have to come up with stuff. All right. So number 5, we're going to talk about frozen foods. These are so good, especially for produce, because you will always have backup fruits and veggies, especially when you're like, oh, shoot, all of my produce at the bottom of my fridge is wilted and I don't have like a green or I don't have a veggie. Well, hey, if you have a bag of, what's it called? Like mixed vegetables, I usually get the petite corn, lima beans, green beans, peas, that kind of thing, like the mixed veggies. And then I will also have something like roast. You could just like throw it on a sheet pan and it's for like roasting them. And the one that I buy is by Tattooed Chef from Costco. And they already have like olive oil, I think like salt and pepper or something like that on it. So I literally throw, it's like Brussels sprouts, sweet potatoes, and they're all like chopped up and cute. And then you just throw them on a roasting pan and put them in your oven for 400 degrees for like 12, 15 minutes. And they get so crispy and beautiful, or in the air fryer, whatever it is. But those are frozen. So they're in my pantry, quote unquote, freezer pantry for the whole year till I'm out, and then I replace them. So when I do have wilted veggies, or when I just, again, want something really easy and convenient, you have your frozen produce. It's okay to buy the frozen smoothie blends because, again, raspberries go bad very quickly. You can add those things to yogurt and oatmeal and smoothies and all of that stuff. And you can also buy a lot of frozen protein. And if right now you're buying like chicken nuggets and bagel bites and things like that for your kids, you can start to buy, again, maybe like different options. I know some kids are really picky about certain brands, and all of a sudden you change them and they're going to have a meltdown. So obviously do what's best for your family. It's okay to have some of those convenience, yummy foods, but you also just want like maybe some plain chicken breasts in your freezer, because then again, shit hits the fan, or like you didn't cook the chicken fast enough and it's been in there for 4 days and now it's all slimy and smells funny. Well, you have your frozen backup chicken. So stock your freezer with the best that you can do. And number 6, snacks. You're allowed to have some chips, crackers, ice cream. Have the things around that you like in moderation, of course, because you don't want to stop on the way, from home from the grocery store, or have a binge next time because you have been snack free for too long. I have a client that's like, I never have anything sweet in my house, no sugar, no snacks. And then like 3 months later, she's like, I've gained 10 pounds. Oh no. And I'm like, okay, well, what's changed? What's happened? Talk to me. And she'll be like, it's the pastries, Kayla. I have to stop on the donut, at the donut shop every day after my so-and-so meeting or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, wait, I thought you didn't have any sweets in your house. And because she has nothing sweet or snacky at her house, she ends up going somewhere else to get it, all right? So be honest with your habits. Be honest with what you're actually doing and what drives you. And if you need some freaking ice cream in the fridge, then have it in the fridge. The more you think, or freezer, don't put your ice cream in the fridge. Put it in the freezer. If having ice cream in the freezer just makes me binge the whole thing the first night, it's because you're not allowing yourself to have ice cream in the freezer. Binging follows restriction. They've shown this over and over and over in animal and human studies. So when you have ice cream in the freezer, you've got to kind of practice allowing yourself, like really mentally and physically allowing yourself to have ice cream in the freezer. I've actually told clients, I want you to have 2 scoops of ice cream every single night this week. And they end up like losing interest in it eventually. They're like, oh, actually, I had it the first 4 nights, and then after that, I didn't want it anymore. It's still in my freezer. And I'm like, cool, the craving's going to hit again in 2 weeks or whenever it is, right? Don't restrict yourself. When you want ice cream, open up your freezer and get your ice cream. Eventually, you stop pedestalizing it and putting it like in this magical bubble. And then like as soon as you have one scoop of ice cream, you're ravenous about it. Have your ice cream, have some chips, have some crackers, have some of the things that you like. Because that way you don't end up just like stopping for a Snickers bar or a milkshake every single time you go out, okay? Number 7, I want you to learn how to bake. I want you to bake some bread and some cookies. I want you to bake those things that you love to eat, the things that are good. And you'll notice I have a full cookie jar, not me right now, but you'll say eventually, I have a cookie jar on my counter at all times with fresh cookies in it, and I don't eat the whole thing every night. Because it's on the counter at all times. You can have a cookie every freaking day and it's not going to go anywhere. So once you start, again, practicing allowing yourself to have those things and you put in the labor of love of making those cookies, and I'm going to reemphasize, it does not have to be like a clean, healthier version of a cookie. Just make regular cookies. And I don't even want you to tell yourself, oh, this is so much healthier than Chips Ahoy. I don't even want that language. It might be true. It might not be true. It's much more delicious than Chips Ahoy. You can tell yourself that. This was much more worth it in general because the house smells like cookies. Everyone's gonna be so happy when they come in and they have fresh chocolate chip cookies, right? Like it is a thing of the heart. And I want you to remember that. So bake your bread, bake your cookies, and be a happy little clam. All right, that's number 7. Number 8, I want you to get some cute containers, some mason jars, have an organization system. So when you look at your pantry, you're happy to be there. I want you to have cute little spice jars because also once you have spice jars, you can start buying in bulk, like buy in the bulk section, those little, I don't know, you like fill your little dope baggie with oregano. And one, you're reducing waste that way. And they're so much cheaper. You don't have to spend $8 or $9 every time you're out of oregano on one of those like glass bottles. You can just buy the baggie of oregano, refill your little jar, and it costs like $1. Okay, I'm telling you. And it's so much cuter, looks aesthetically pleasing. If you don't like being in your kitchen, you're not going to be in your kitchen. So I say the same thing with working out. I'm like, okay, not that I want you to go into debt for this, but if you can afford it and you're having trouble feeling motivated, go buy yourself a cute workout outfit and then you want to wear it and then you want to go out and work out. Okay. So it's the same way. If you buy yourself a cute little, display for all of your knives or your serving bowls or I don't know, you want to make it enjoyable, okay? You want your kitchen to be pleasant to be in, and then you're going to want to be in it, okay? Martha Stewart the shit out of it, however that works for you. Number 9, I want you to invest. Start learning about it. Don't go overboard. Sometimes it's like, well, what do I do first? Don't get crazy, okay? Number 9, I want you to start looking at appliances and kitchen tools. Again, as you start building your kitchen, as you start building your habits, you're going to be like, oh shit, I'd really like if I had this thing because I'm following this recipe and they use a food processor. That would be nice. What else can I use a food processor for? Actually, I might use that quite a bit. Then you go and get a food processor or you start putting things that you want on your Christmas list or asking people for gift cards if you don't trust people to pick things out for you, right? Do what you need to do to make your kitchen work for you. I personally think that it's important to have like a hand mixer. You don't need a KitchenAid. You don't need a KitchenAid. You can just do a hand mixer at first, okay? I only recently got a KitchenAid and my mom bought it for me, okay? I'm not saying go and spend $300 to $500 on a new appliance just yet. But if you find yourself wanting to bake more, a hand mixer is really nice. Maybe a set of nice rubber spatulas. By the way, pro tip, if you're buying rubber spatulas, make sure it is solid silicone or like solid whatever material, not the type that has like a wooden handle and then a silicone stick because it'll pull off and you get bacteria underneath it. It's impossible to clean. The wood is gross. Don't do that. Get full silicone spatulas. Okay, so I want you to look at what you need, take inventory, look at what you're going to use, things like that. Maybe you've been using the same old mixing bowls for 20 years and you're sick of them and they're cracking and they're ugly. Scrap them and get yourself some new goddamn mixing bowls because you will thank yourself. And then you'll be like, look, I made this beautiful thing with my new mixing bowls and it was very exciting. So again, know yourself, know thyself. All right, number 10, which is just wrapping all of this together, I want you to choose something to build upon first, or just again, keep these things in mind as you look at what you're going to be eating this week or making this week, and then expand from there. Do not overnight try to be like, I'm not buying any more snacks. I'm only buying ingredients, especially if you don't know how to bake or cook yet. You have to practice. You have to learn this stuff first. So if you want to learn bread first, choose bread. Don't think about cakes or pies or anything else yet. Just think about bread, okay? Think about, oh, I only really have like 4 spices in my cabinet. I want to buy like real spices. Also, I'm not a huge fan of most spice blends. I do use like Italian seasoning. I have Montreal steak seasoning. I use that on like potatoes and stuff. There are some things that you can do, but if you're using like, I don't know, it's always just like a chicken rub or this or that, look at what those things contain, and that could be a good basis too. So if you are like, I always use this chicken rub on all of my poultry, I just love it so much, look on the back, see what's in it, and then be like, oh, it has paprika and this and that. Okay, then you can go and buy those single items if you'd like. Or again, just keep buying the blends. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can start diversifying and expanding from what you're doing now. If you're already doing a lot of takeout, a lot of to-go food, a lot of ready-made meals, then maybe you just start by buying more whole foods and putting them into meals. Doesn't need to be a recipe. Just cook a protein, cook some type of starch or some type of more fulfilling food, grains, starches, things like that, and then have a lot of veggies, a lot of produce and plants, legumes and beans are really good for you. Lots of seeds, lots of leafy vegetables, all of those things that you can just start including more of, okay? It doesn't have to be only, just more of. Personally, I love like vanilla extract is something that I personally did last year where I was like, hey, I've never done this before. How do I do this? Ordered a bunch of vanilla beans online because on Amazon has a bunch. Costco also will sell them sometimes. But buy some vanilla beans and some either vodka or bourbon or something like that. And you just put it in a jar for like 6 to 12 months. And now you have your own homemade vanilla extract. And there's nothing better, whether you use box cake mix or bake it from scratch, whatever the hell it is, when you're like, I have my own homemade vanilla extract. It's like homesteading one-on-one. I don't even need chickens. I have vanilla. So if you were like, where do I start? What do I do? Start there. Start by just choosing one thing that we went over today and just start doing more of it, okay? It doesn't have to be crazy. And because I don't want these episodes to go too long, I'm trying to keep them around 30 minutes, I'm going to make a part 2 of 10 things to not do to avoid becoming an almond mom. Did I just use a double negative there? I might have. So I'm going to go over in the next episode 10 things to avoid becoming an almond mom. There we go. So thanks for listening. Hope this helps. Leave me a review, please, or tag me on Instagram, and I look forward to chatting with you next. Bye.